Hello everyone and welcome back to another Bitcoin chart planning update video. In this video guys, none of this is advice or financial advice or I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm just purely just going to share my opinions on some news that came out this morning and how that not influences but how my view isn't really affected by this. And I want to share that with you guys because it's just I know there's a lot of fear in the crypto market, Bitcoin right now, specifically with what the Federal Reserve announced this morning, Jerome Powell to be specific, and it's not worth anyone's time to be feared, to freak out, to think it's the end of the bull market. It's just it's just silly in my opinion. So I'm gonna try to express that today to you guys. So the first get started is to go over my opinion, and then I'll go over a little bit of an actual chart planning. So analyzing the chart a little bit. Right here, right. So Federal Reserve, Fed Chair Powell says officials are in no hurry to cut interest rates. There was like some bank meeting today, or they announced that, and it's causing some fear, and people are freaking out. And realistically, I don't think there's gonna be. It just depends. I think tomorrow. I think there's some more important jobs or no inflation data coming out tomorrow, and that's gonna be very important as well, of course. And then there's some more events eventually in the future. So all this will have a big saying on or at least increase what more realistic expectations on what the Federal Reserve can potentially do. But I'm starting to think they may not cut rates this next meeting in March, but we will see, right? We'll see. It all comes down to this, though, right? I'm not gonna get too much into it, but you guys can do your own research on what Bitcoin really is, how the price is influenced is purely just supply and demand, and what's going on in the background. So why are we? I'm gonna get into it a little bit actually, but not too much. Uh, you know, why I believe the price will keep going up this year specifically, right? Supposedly this is the last year of the bull cycle before we have another reset. Um, but I'm gonna get into that naturally throughout the video, just so I don't repeat myself too much. But this is actually looking more like that, and then this is. I thought it was gonna happen sooner, but it's happening now. A little bit of a retest of support, and then potentially come up higher. But my expectations don't change from every other video, right? I like I always say, I stick with my analysis, I stick with my whatever my expectations are, until I am proven wrong. In this case, I do believe at a minimum, Bitcoin should reach this imbalance area by the end of February. But my most expectations, however you want to say it, is actually up here. I do believe we will see a not just a retest of all-time highs, around 108. Give me one sec. No, just over 109,000, right? So I do believe we will reach 110,000 this month by the end of it, but we will see. If February ends and we haven't, then I'm wrong. But I'm still sticking with that. We have plenty of time to see what the price is going to do and how all of this aftermath reactions throughout the rest of the month, with not just tariff news, but this Fed announcement, uh, or not announcement, but the speech Jerome Powell had today, right? So we'll see how all that just starts to settle. But at the end of the day, right, we all know that Bitcoin has been trading pretty much sideways for quite some time, sideways, and we are still in the discounted um, portion of this overall stage or this structure. And being in the discounted area, regardless if the price is here or it can come down a little bit more, or even potentially max out this red area right here, which we still could potentially do this area right here, come down to the low 90s and maybe even break below 90,000 for just a moment briefly before we start popping up higher. As of right now, I am focused on potentially retesting this before we come up higher into this area right here, my next target area. But at the end of the day, right, it all comes down to this. This is more of a me like expressing myself video more than actually getting down into like the analysis part of it. But if we have consistent um, ETF adoption, more inflows going into Bitcoin, more in than coming out, and then we also have more states in the U.S. adopting Bitcoin into their reserve or their treasury or whatever they really call it, and we have more of that happening, right? And we have um, strong evidence that not guaranteed, but strong evidence that there will be a U.S. strategic reserve with Bitcoin building up in the background that will be announced eventually sometime this year. There's just a lot of officials uh, that are being hired in the U.S. government that are very much in favor of this, and it's more likely than not that this will happen, right? So it just there's just a lot of confidence that this will happen, and I do believe it will. And I also believe that we are not done with the bull market, and we have much higher prices. As you can see, I am expecting much higher prices, not just in Bitcoin, but for example, I am expecting Mara to rally nicely, beginning sometime this year. But we should see it go back into the 20s, and I do believe it will pass $30 this year. But then MSTR as well, I do believe it will go back and surpass 500 and potentially even reach $1,000 by the end of this year. I just think that. And of course, Michael Saylor is still adopting more, and there's just a lot of more reasons why I believe the price will go up, and the price will come down, and everyone, you guys can do your own research as well. You don't have to take my word for it, but there is a lot of strong evidence that we are still continuing to move higher, just because we've been consolidating for a long period of time, roughly, does not mean that we're going to go down and never come back up. This also does not mean that we can't even retest the more premium section of this structure. It just makes more sense that we will than that we won't. And when it comes to the shorter picture, I just, you know, we've seen a lot of really nice imbalances being filled. We saw it here. We saw it here. We've seen it multiple times. We've seen extension levels, both bullish and bearish, get filled nicely. As you can see there, it got filled nicely. We had smaller structure extensions to the upside that got filled very nicely. Resistances being tested. There's another one right here where it had 3 tests. It ended up slightly got into the more average length of it, the medium length, and then it eventually maxed it out. And we've seen that again to the downside and to the upside nicely. We saw it happen here quite nicely where it had a slight retest and it broke up higher. So I would not be surprised if this imbalance, which is very messy, it's not a very clear imbalance, but I do believe it's still valid. And then, we have that there. And then we have a lot of more bearish leverage, I believe, than bullish leverage. I have to update my liquidity walls, but I do believe that there's much more magnets to the upside than there is to the downside, and a lot more resistances above this. So it will make more sense that we can hit this before seeing major resistance as we try to push up higher. When it comes to the smaller picture, right, Bitcoin's holding pretty well, and now that it has consolidated sideways for a while within this structure, this smaller structure, the RSI is now starting to show more bullishness, where it's maxing out the bottom side a bit higher than it has previously. So here it kind of maxed out the downside a little bit at a lower price, and now it's starting to do that, but a little bit higher. But we're still moving down a little bit, so we can easily retest the max this out a little bit. We can find support anywhere within here. It can even be the previous swing low right here. It does not matter. I am focused on not just towards the end of February, but the rest of this year, and then all of this other macro stuff that's kind of affecting the price as well. And it's just very, very strong, and these structures are very, very healthy. We haven't seen any clear, if we had a double top, if let's just say this was the end of the bull market, right? We had a double top and now we should start moving lower. Like, oh yeah, okay, so we came lower. It could have gone lower. It could have at least retested this or broke this a little bit before it had a corrective rally, and then start pushing down lower again. But this is looking very healthy, and we're not really, to me, this isn't a reason to be cautious, especially today's Fed announcement that they're not in a hurry to cut rates. We know they're going to keep cutting rates. We know they are. We know they're gonna be forced to. It's gonna happen. I don't think tariffs are a big deal when it comes to like. I think it's over exaggerated the way tariff is gonna inflate all kinds of prices or just end the bull market cycle, and it's just there's not enough evidence to be bearish, overly bearish, then there is enough evidence to be bullish. I believe there's much more reasons to be bullish and to take advantage of these dips, especially as we keep trying to retest previous supports and trying to max out these supportive extensions. And then eventually, I do believe time will prove me right or wrong that we will push up higher and at a minimum reach this price before February end, and then potentially even reach 110,000 at a minimum as well when it comes to the more bullish extension of my expectations. But guys, it's just no reason to what happened today and what's happening with tariffs is no reason to change your bullish stance on Bitcoin to a bearish one. And I guess the purpose of this video is just to really remind everyone that if this is getting to you, and just in my opinion, it's you're probably just overthinking it. Maybe it's a good idea to step back like this and then like take a look at the bigger picture, understand the pattern, look at really what's going on in the broad economy and how that is actually going to be very useful for anyone that does have a bullish stance on Bitcoin and is expecting, past 110,000, maybe 150, 200,000 or whatever. It's just, maybe I'll look silly. Maybe this will like tank and never come up and I'll look super, super silly. But like I said, time will prove me right or wrong. I'm still holding on. I posted a screenshot about this in a previous video, the one that says like invested 110,000 in BitU. You can look at my position there. My position has not changed. I haven't added. I haven't taken away. I may add if we break below 90,000, maybe. But as of right now, I'm just holding on to that position. I'm not gonna put a new screenshot of it. It's the same screenshot as that video. Nothing has changed. It's down currently 10K, but soon enough, it'll be in the positive. I strongly believe that. I have no worries. Just all confidence. And I hope you guys do as well. I hope this video maybe encouraged one of you to stay strong and not let this fear get to you. Or maybe it influenced some of you to actually want to gain exposure to an asset that could potentially rally more and make a new high real soon. We will see. We will see with time, guys. So yeah, take care and have a good one.